They're ordinary people with ordinary jobs.
Holly, nurse.
Jamie, teacher.
Sophie, cabin crew.
Jonathan, fireman.
David, personal trainer.
Louise, carpenter.
Who's the sexiest? The choice is yours. Britain's Sexiest. Tonight at 10, ITV1.
The boys are getting ready to do battle. Pop Stars, The Rivals, soon on ITV1.
Why more and more people choose BT Open World Anytime for the internet.
It's reliable. It's a set price.
It's £59.99 and I'm going to worry about it.
Because I'm not worried about the costs, we just use it anytime.
It's value for money, I think.
BT Open World Anytime. No internet call charges, no worry about phone bills. Call 0800 800 801.
Susan and Janet are extremely strong housewives, perfect to test new strongest ever bounty against the most popular competitive brand. Firstly, ladies, can your towel absorb this nasty spill? Can you wet it, wring it, and even tackle this dried-on sticky mess without the towel falling apart? Can you? And finally, are you a ninny? Bounty, have you tried it wet yet?
That's my square.
Sorry.
I said those were my squares, all of them.
What?
Walker Squares. New knockout beefy flavour.
Bad move.
Friday feeling with Cadbury's Crunchy.
The revolutionary new digital iron from Morphy Richards. Its enhanced digital control lets you know exactly when you can iron silk, cotton or linen. And if you leave it for too long, it even switches itself off. The new digital iron from Morphy Richards. Who else?
Step into Magna and discover a place where you feel anything is possible. Magna, a day without limits.
Uh-oh, another breakdown. Bet you her washing machine's got limescale damage. Limescale's a big problem. It builds up on the heating element and everywhere inside the machine, so sooner or later, you could have a whole load of hassle. But just one little Calgon tap in with every wash helps block limescale build-up on the vital machine parts. So Calgon protects against limescale damage and breakdowns.
Washing machines live longer with Calgon.
It's no fun when you can't sleep. Time seems to stand still. You just can't switch off. And it feels like you're the only one. But you don't have to put up with it. Nitol can help you drift off into a natural sleep. So you wake up refreshed in the morning. Good mornings follow a good Nitol.
Another outstanding offer from Boots. Have your film processed on the 6-day service from £2.99. Now available at most Boots stores.
You paid £125 for a ticket.
Calm down, otherwise you won't be going anywhere. This is why you've got to take off the flight, OK?
Airline, 8:30 Friday, ITV1.
Well, Davina McCall celebrates some of the finest young talents that the country has to offer. Britain's Brilliant Prodigies follows the day's news now, which is firstly from here in the Yorkshire region.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the calendar news on this Bank Holiday Monday. There are calls tonight for the Leeds Festival to be banned after hundreds of people went on the rampage, starting fires and hurling bricks at the police. One officer needed hospital treatment for a broken nose. Nearby residents say it's the last straw after trouble at previous events, problems with litter and complaints about music continuing after hours. But festival organisers say it was the best event yet. Here's Lindsay Eastwood. We'll come back to that in a few moments. A 17-year-old youth was remanded in custody when he appeared at a special court today charged with the murder of a 16-year-old boy. The youth, who can't be identified for legal reasons, is accused of killing Luke Richmond in Ripley in Derbyshire as he walked home to nearby Alfreton. Derby magistrates have now transferred the case to Ilkeston Youth Court for a hearing on Friday. Lawrence Batley, the self-made millionaire from Huddersfield who's credited with inventing the cash and carry, has died in hospital aged 91. Mr Batley, who had an estimated fortune of more than £100 million, was not only a champion of the small trader, but also of the arts and sports in his hometown, with his money providing a theatre, an arts gallery and a major annual golf tournament and the main Lawrence Batley stand at Huddersfield's McAlpine Stadium. OK, we can now go back to our top story. There are calls tonight for the Leeds Festival to be banned after hundreds of people went on the rampage, starting fires and throwing bricks at the police. Here's our reporter Lindsay Eastwood.
Well, 50,000 people have been enjoying the music festival here in Leeds over the weekend, but as in previous years, a minority of troublemakers has marred the event. Up to 1,000 rioters torched toilet blocks on one campsite and fought running battles with police from midnight to daybreak, hurling bottles and stones. Most of the music fans leaving the site today have condemned the violence.
Leeds stuff was just getting set on fires, massive fires everywhere, and just general anarchy, everyone pushing all the poles over.
Gas cans and stuff.
Yeah. It was just a bit of a joke, really. And it was just like so many people rioting that the security couldn't really do anything.
Certainly when you got a lot of alcohol involved in these things, and you do attract a certain age group of 15 to 18-year-olds. I think the older people generally are well-behaved, polite and receptive to just having a good time.
There was certainly a hard core, and we're talking perhaps a few hundred people that were involved in this, who were quite determined and organised really, and determined to cause these fires despite the best efforts of the police and the security.
Festival organisers, already under fire for the music continuing after hours, deny the trouble has marred the event.
50,000 fans, hundreds of bands, lots and lots of people really enjoying themselves, probably the greatest Leeds festival ever, and that's really what I'm thinking about. The fact that there was a bit of trouble last night really ought not to concentrate people's minds.
But residents who almost won their campaign to stop the festival after the violence, vandalism and noise of previous years say they won't give up their fight.
We really want to hold an event like this on open farmland where it can be policed and contained properly. As it is, the police helicopter's been up there all night. I believe there were 200 policemen deployed there. That's an enormous cost to this city.
Organisers will spend the next 10 days trying to restore Temple Newsam Park. Whether or not the festival is allowed to go ahead next year will no doubt be the subject of much debate.
Yes, Lindsay Eastwood with that report. Now, the bank holiday's grey clouds failed to dampen the spirits at this afternoon's spectacular annual West Indian Carnival in Leeds. Thousands of people line the streets to watch the North's most colourful event as dozens of multicoloured floats sneak their way through the streets of the city to the musical accompaniment of steel bands and sound systems. Heading the parade was Carnival Queen Sharon Clement in her lost ship costume, plus 10 princesses and 8 princes, all in eye-catching outfits. Very colourful. Now, world coal-carrying champion Dave Jones had to dig deep for his latest challenge, but his efforts have struck a chord with a Yorkshire brass band badly in need of new instruments. Dave teamed up with Stan Dawson for a sack race with a difference, 1 mile uphill, carrying 100 weight of coal. The two men completed their combined challenge in less than 10 minutes. It took place in the Pennine village of Slaithwaite, and in the process, the men raised £2,000 for the town's brass band.
Obviously running uphill with it. That's the hardest bit. And training.
The technical part of actually changing the bag can also pose its problems depending where we feel we have to change it, because we can be on a steep incline or on the flat, but the ears get very slippy, and if we lost it, then the game's over. Once it hits the floor, challenge is over.
Not sure I could do that one. Well, on to some sport now, and Super League side Halifax Blue Sox have today officially unveiled former player Tony Anderson as their new head coach. The Australian has moved to Halifax from Hull, where he was assistant coach to Sean McRae. Anderson was a championship winner during his time as a player with Halifax in the 1980s. He succeeds Steve Linnane, who was sacked as coach after the Blue Sox were beaten 64-0 by St Helens. That was on Friday.
My immediate goal is to win on Sunday. You know, people keep looking. We've got 4 games left. Well, I can't afford to do that, and I know it's old cliches and it bores fans, but that's all we can focus on. That's trying to get a result against Warrington on Sunday.
Well, on to some football now, and there's been a busy day of bank holiday soccer in the nationwide First Division. Grimsby lost 1-0 to a strong Portsmouth team. Bradford City take on Ipswich this evening at Portman Road in a 7:45 kick-off, and we will of course have that result for you in our late bulletin. That's at 11:15. Hope you'll join us then. Rotherham's good start to the season continued. They beat relegated Derby by 2-1. In the second division, Barnsley were held to a goalless draw at home to Notts County. Mansfield lost 2-0 at Stockport, and Huddersfield went down 2-1 at Tranmere. On to Division 3, Hull lost at Hartlepool by 2-0. Lincoln recovered from their derby defeat though against Boston by beating Macclesfield 3-0. Scunthorpe lost 2-0 at Rushden and Diamonds, and York beat New Boys at Boston. That was by 2-0. Plenty of sporting action there. And that's just about it from me and the team here at Calendar for the moment. Sorry about our earlier technical problems. I'll be back with the late headlines at 11:15. Hope you'll join me then. Until then, though, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. Bye-bye.
The search is on for contestants to star in a brand new Antiques quiz show. If you're an antiques aficionado and know your Clarice Cliff from your Coalport, then we'd like to hear from you. So send your name, address and daytime phone number to That's Your Lot, Yorkshire Television, Leeds LS3 1JS.
Yorkshire weather.
Hello, good evening. Well, rather like the cricket at Headingley, it's been nothing to write home about today. If we take a look at the satellite sequence, you can see a lot of cloud across our region, clouds circulating around that area of low pressure. The best of the sunshine has been up towards the Pennines, around Skipton and Earby, for instance. So Gargrave again is going to see the best of any sunshine this evening. Rather cloudy across the region, spits and spots of rain possible down the east coast there. Little change is going to happen overnight. It'll stay mainly dry. The best of any cloud breaks in the Pennines, where temperatures will dip down to 12 degrees Celsius. Now, sometimes tomorrow it rises at 6:05. It sets at 8:09. Tomorrow morning again it's going to be rather cloudy, rather like today. Again, spits and spots of rain or drizzle possible down the coast. It will tend to brighten up as we go through tomorrow, but again, the best of the sunshine always over the West Riding of Yorkshire, and the top temperatures around 20 Celsius. Here's a summary.
The boys are getting ready to do battle. Pop stars, The Rivals, soon on ITV1.
6 professions, both men and women, with one thing in common. They're all very sexy. But who's the sexiest? The choice is yours. Britain's Sexiest, tonight at 10.
I have a dream. To be a dancer. To sing. To perform. I have a dream.
Davina McCall presents Britain's Brilliant Prodigies, tonight 6:20.
Later tonight, 3 bowls of porridge is not quite enough to keep the bears away. It's no walk in the park when the grizzlies smell the donuts. Tales of terror in Maneaters at 8. But now, the latest ITV News.
Earth Summit opens with 10 days to change the world. New plea to sightseers to leave Soham in peace. And heroics from Hussein, but England lose to India.
The ITV News with Andrea Catherwood.
Good evening. The United Nations Earth Summit began in earnest today with a clear message from South Africa's President Thabo Mbeki. He called for a worldwide fight against poverty and an end to exploitation of the environment. It was, he said, time to scrap the global apartheid between rich and poor. Delegates from over 100 nations now have 10 days to find ways to translate those ambitions into action. From Johannesburg, Tim Ewart reports.
The South African leader Thabo Mbeki is presiding over a summit already mired in disagreement. The opening ceremony, beamed by satellite around the world, was marred by a technical failure that left most of his opening address virtually inaudible. It was left to the senior UN official to outline what's at stake here.
Every year 3 million people die because of air pollution. 5 million people die because of waterborne diseases. Now if this were one disease, if it had one name, would we not treat it as an emergency? But we do not.
Even as delegates arrived for this first session, environmentalists were warning that the summit could become a stitch-up between big business and big government.
It is very, very pathetic and tragic and unacceptable that in the negotiation rooms in this hall, for the last 1.5 years culminating today, that little groups, little corridor individuals of countries are not protecting the rights of their own countries or the planet.
Outside, tight security for even the smallest demonstrations. Supporters of Zimbabwe's opposition party, who marched to the summit to condemn President Robert Mugabe, found themselves outnumbered by police. This was an officially sanctioned protest, and there was no suggestion of trouble. The police used stun grenades and tear gas at an unauthorized demonstration over the weekend. They've made it clear they'll crack down hard on any troublemakers. Tensions are running high at another summit venue as pro-Israeli protesters disrupted a Palestinian news conference. But demonstrations so far have been restrained. That may change at the weekend, when 20,000 anti-globalization activists are planning to take to the streets. Tim Ewart, ITV News, Johannesburg.
The Vicar of Soham repeated his request today that the town should be left alone to grieve following the murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. The Reverend Tim Alban-Jones said there were fewer people in the Cambridgeshire town today, but they still numbered in their hundreds. Here's John Ray.
The carpet of flowers in Soham churchyard grows ever thicker. There were fewer visitors today, but still they've come in their hundreds. Most to express genuine sorrow at the deaths of Holly and Jessica, but the parish vicar questions the motives of a minority.
We have unfortunately seen evidence of people behaving in a quite inappropriate manner. People have been coming to have their photographs taken in front of the candles, and people have been posing their children so that we can get the pictures of Holly and Jessica. We hear of coachloads being diverted on their trip to Ely so that they can come and see Soham. And we hear of people eating fish and chips in the churchyard, and all of that is quite abhorrent.
In Birmingham, thieves have stolen a book of condolence from the city's cathedral. It was to be sent on to Holly and Jessica's parents.
If the person hears this and is willing to return the book either in here to the cathedral or to any other church or police station, we'll get it back, and we won't want to ask any more questions.
A service of remembrance and celebration for the two girls will be held in Cambridgeshire on Friday. Meanwhile, the people of Soham have asked again to be left in peace to resume their lives. John Ray, ITV News.
14 people were injured today when a tourist train carrying railway enthusiasts hit the buffers at a station on the Essex coast. The train had been travelling at 10 miles an hour when the accident happened at Walton-on-the-Naze. The worst injuries are thought to have been fractured ribs and a broken leg. The train had been on its way from Crewe to Clacton. 5 people were arrested after hundreds of revellers at a music festival in Leeds went on the rampage earlier this morning. The violence began when police and security staff at the Leeds Carling Festival moved in because 2 temporary toilets had been set on fire. Police say bottles and debris were hurled at officers, many of whom were in riot gear. Cricket, England were soundly beaten in the 3rd test against India at Headingley today. They began the day hopeful of salvaging a draw, but instead crumbled to a heavy defeat. India's victory by an innings and 46 runs mean the Test series is now level on 1-1 with a match to play. Harry Fawcett reports.
England's old stagers started in the same positive vein as they'd left off last night. All hopes rested with a long partnership from Alex Stewart and Nasser Hussain, and when the England captain went on from his overnight 90 to clinch his 12th Test 100, the signs were good. But then came a traumatic 10-ball spell. First Hussain, and then Flintoff fell, his second duck of the match. Then it was Stewart's turn, out to a sharp catch by Dravid at first slip. England were reeling on 267 for 7. A brief flicker of resistance followed from Tudor and Giles. But when the latter was sent back too late by his partner, any lingering hopes of a draw were extinguished. Tudor soon followed Giles back to the pavilion, caught by Sehwag at short leg, his 6th catch of the match. Anil Kumble, India's best bowler today, delivered the coup de grace, getting Andy Caddick caught at slip. India go into the deciding Oval Test match on a high, England with some hard work to do. Harry Fawcett, ITV News.
Football. Portsmouth lead the Nationwide League's First Division this evening after a 1-0 win against Grimsby. In today's televised match, Coventry City missed the chance to join them at the top after being beaten 5-2 at Watford. Danny Webber, on loan from Manchester United, set up the first 2 goals for the home side before scoring the 3rd himself. Finally, thousands of people crammed into the streets of West London this afternoon to enjoy the sights and sounds of the Notting Hill Carnival. The highlight of the day was the main procession, with its scores of costumed dancers and decorated floats. John Draper joined the partygoers.
Appropriately enough, in Golden Jubilee year, the colour gold was splashed all over the carnival costumes and floats. And the theme of people from across the Commonwealth coming together was popular too. After 37 years, the Notting Hill Carnival has moved on from being a specifically West Indian event in London to becoming one of the great street festivals of the world.
Jamaican Carnival is quite young. It's mainly for Jamaicans and people in the Caribbean, but this one is a multinational event. People from all over the world.
Having a lovely time, thank you. It's fantastic.
By general acclaim, it was one of the best organised carnivals ever. The Carnival Trust and police have changed the route and put in more barriers. It still snakes its way around West London, but public safety is an absolute priority. 10,000 police are on duty here. Feeding all those people is pretty important too.
The weather may not have been what everyone was hoping for, but the atmosphere has more than made up for it. The carnival's due to end around mid-evening, but everything here operates on something called carnival time, so it's likely to go on until well after dark.
The carnival weekend is drawing to a close, but they're still dancing in the streets. John Draper, ITV News, at the Notting Hill Carnival.
Well, I'll be back with the latest news at 10:30. Until then, goodbye.
Powergen, controlling energy for homes and business.
Good evening. Back to work for most people tomorrow, but the school kids are still on holiday. It looks like being lots of fine weather around for them this week, especially across England and Wales. Some rain at times for the north and west. Now, most of us had a cloudy day in the east today with the clear sunny spells in the west. It'll stay pretty much that way overnight tonight. Lots of cloud in central and eastern parts, clear spells in the west, and a weak weather front bringing patchy rain into the north and west of Scotland. And then tomorrow, well, we'll start off the day much the same. Lots of cloud in the east still, some sunny spells in the west. As we go through the day, this weak weather front will bring patchy cloud and the odd spot of rain to western coasts and hills there. Brighter weather to follow to the rest of Scotland. England and Wales not doing too badly, more sunny spells around and warming up a touch too. Temperatures up to around 22. That's 72.
Powergen, controlling energy for homes and business.
5 years after her death, Diana's police bodyguard reveals her closely guarded secrets. Is it a terrible betrayal of a close friend? Has he considered the hurt this will do to her sons? GMTV asks Ken Wharf to justify this act of betrayal. GMTV tomorrow.
What style would you like today, then?
A rinse, please.
Blue, purple, pink, or red?
Can I have 50-50, please?
Millionaire, Saturday, 7:40, ITV1.
Excuse me, I'm back. I've only been 5 minutes. Please, don't put that on my car.
I'm sorry, sir, but you'll have to move your car.
I've only been 2 minutes.
There's nothing I can do about it now.
Oh, you can if you want. Oh, I've only had it 2 weeks.
I've issued the ticket. It's in the system, sir.
I think you just like winding people up. It just makes me sick. It really does.
You're nearly a stone heavier than last time you joined.
Kay Mellor's Fat Friends are back.
There's a real person supposed to get into that.
Coping with life. Love. Kelly wants her King Kong. And an expanding waistline.
Definitely not a size 12.
The new series of Fat Friends coming soon to ITV1.
Lessons in Life.
We didn't have sex education at school.
In Remember This, Tuesday, 7:30 on Yorkshire.
This holiday Monday at 7:30, Emmerdale with some strong words of warning from Joe in Coronation Street at 8:30. But now we join Davina McCall with nothing but...